Welcome to Live, Uncut, Raw, Unfiltered. Ask the $50 billion man. Call 1-866-307-4320 for U.S. callers and 44080-0404-8387 for UK callers to get no-holds-barred answers to your questions. And now, your host, Dan Pena.
Welcome to my second edition of Unfiltered, Uncut, Raw, Ask the $50 Billion Man. I have a number of things that I want to cover in addition to answering your questions. But first of all, nothing that I say on this is or should be construed as legal, accounting, marital, or any other kind of legally binding advice. This is one man's opinion based on 71 years of life and about 50 years of being in the real world. In addition, it's important to note that 99.99999% of all the people that have benefited from QLA information, material, etc., I have never met, I have never talked to, I have never seen. I wouldn't know them if they came in and pissed on the floor here in my office at Guthrie Castle. So I want to make that clear. I also want to make some announcements. This is the about 10 days ago, we had my first beta test, I guess you'd call it. This is still a test because we're still ironing out some of the details. And it went well, i.e. we're having the second one. But I got a lot of questions based on what I talked about last time. And so one of them, we found, or we thought that it would be better to install a chat room for you guys to be able to talk amongst yourselves. And so that's been installed. And if it will stay up as long as you don't abuse it. I am not going to look at the chat room on a day-to-day basis. It's going to be open 365, 24/7. But nobody on my staff is going to answer questions. From time to time, we'll look at it just to see if you're abusing it. And I don't have to tell you what that means by abuse. But if it is being abused, then we'll shut the fucker down. There were some questions last week that came in after the fact. And the deals that were given to me, or I was given the information, and it was announced that my mentees called on my birthday, and actually subsequent to my birthday, that we added over $3 billion in my totals, which I'm not changing the 50 billion total. But subsequent to that, we had 2 or 3 other additions. We had a 10 million addition to equity and value. We had a 50 million addition, and we had an 8 million addition. And perhaps now that they know that I'm interested in it, and I don't know why in the fuck they wouldn't have thought that I wasn't interested before, they'll come out of the shadows of wherever they live and tell me how well they're doing. So I'm very, very pleased about that. I'm also, just for an update, I'm still giving information about the Harlem Charter School having canceled me at the last minute. Actually, the night before, I was going to give a speech in Harlem a number of weeks ago, and then 3 weeks later, I gave a similar speech to the kids at Oxford to a standing ovation. And so that still has got its own life, and it's been on 2 or 3 of the national talk shows, radio talk shows in America, and it's been written up a couple of times, and so that's still not dead, and it's not that I'm necessarily pressing it, but I think it's a tragedy that political correctness has gone so fucking far, is that I couldn't talk to the kids in Harlem, and now I've actually opened up myself to speaking at other charter stroke minority schools, and it appears, there's nothing in concrete yet, that I will be talking in New York City again in the Harlem area late October or November. So I've already been invited to some other places in the United States, which aren't convenient to me right now, one of which is Houston, Texas, and one of which is Los Angeles, California. There's no shortage of poverty schools, believe me. There's no shortage of poverty schools. So I'll be doing that. And so I want to go on record, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, not just vis-a-vis the Harlem fiasco, that I believe with all my heart that political correctness is merely a manifestation of the lack of self-esteem we have in the world today. And now I'm informed that Ivy League schools, you can't say chairman anymore, and you can't do this and you can't do that, and I think it's a real fucking tragedy. But I'm not going to change that, so I'm not too concerned about that. Another thing I want to clear up is a comment about vets vis-a-vis the Castle Seminar. Now, it's a combination of, one, I misspoke, and two, when I say that there's a special program for vets, what I'm talking about is active duty people in the military. Not if you go and you're in the military 1 day a week, 1 day a month, and if you're on the active reserves, I mean active duty, when you, every morning you're wearing a uniform. We do have a special program, and it's very similar to the student program. But I could fill up the seminars just with students or just with vets or active duty. Let alone people that aren't on active duty, but that changes the whole blend of the seminar. That's not to say that someday I might not have just a student seminar, and that's not to say I might not have just a military seminar someday. But for the active duty military that come to the seminar, they have to wear their uniform during the day, as you saw, I believe, in the last seminar. Then, of course, at night, they dress up with suits like everybody else. So I just want you to know that. Now, one comment about my veteran program, TV program, reality show. It apparently so far it's fallen on deaf ears. At least one 4-star, very famous general has got back to me. He's the only one, I might add, to tell me that he's injured right now, or he's just got out of surgery, and so he can't help me. But other than that, we've had very little feedback. So, but we're not giving up. I don't give up on stuff like that. And in fact, a couple of my mentees that are closely connected with the government and Veterans Affairs, etc., have offered to help me, in which I'm very thankful for that. Okay, it's time. We'll take a few calls now. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hey, Dan, yes, if you could, please. When approaching potential chairman and dream team members,
okay, before you ask the question, this is for everybody. Just give me your name, your first name, and what part of the world you're from.
You know me, Tom, London.
Oh, okay. Well, then you already know the answer, Tom.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, here it is. When I approach potential chairman, Dan, and dream team members, I tell them I'm not looking for their money, but bearing in mind the guarantor is a fool with a pen, should dream team members be prepared to offer guarantees with banks if the lending banks as they want securitized lending?
No.
Okay. And should I then just go for non-recourse lending at all costs? Or
no, you're not going to get, and you know this, Tom, you're not going to get non-recourse lending. You're going to get recourse. It's going to be recourse based on the deal, and your signature is not worth anything, but not your board members.
Okay, so if they ask for...
Well, then, next. You know the answer to that, Tom. Thank you for calling. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Dan Pena, Stewart in Virginia, got the same birthday. Happy belated birthday to you.
Oh, happy birthday to you. Thank you.
August 10th. All right. I am a guy, I've never made more than 25 grand in my life, married a girl with some money, blah, blah, blah. I've messed up a lot. I'm making some, I'm going to make trike kits for Harley Sportsters. And I'm going to probably make about $800, $600, $700 a piece. I thought the old rule of thumb is we want to be at 33% when you're manufacturing something. What do you think?
33% means what? 33% of what?
In other words, if I make a product for $1,000, having something and getting a $330, $40 profit, that's usually about 33%, right?
Well, no, I mean, you want to get as much margin as you possibly can. I mean,
right.
A 30% margin, that's a gross margin, is okay. But I mean, in manufacturing, and this runs all over the board. The new car industry operates at a margin less than 10%. So I mean, you have to ask yourself, why does your motorcycle, and it's not a motorcycle, I know what you're talking about, but why should you get 35%?
Well, actually, I could probably make more like 50, but I'm doing most of the work myself. I have the ability, and I have laser guys with laser equipment, and I can have
well,
stuff
then
made.
what I would suggest is you test the market. Thank you for calling. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hello, Mr. Pena. Thank you for your time. Okay, I have two questions for you, please.
Okay, I said please give your first name and what part of the world you're from.
My name is Deacon, and I'm from Spain originally.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is, what is the average amount of time your mentee needs in order to close the first deal after they've attended the seminar?
It all depends. We've had it done as little as 99 days and as long as 7 years.
7 years, okay. And of those that have attended the Catholic seminar, what percentage managed to close the business deal during the first year?
Probably a third. And that's just a
third.
guess.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next call. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hello, Mr. Pena. Thank you for having me on the show. I have two short questions for you.
Okay, I asked you, please listen up. What's your first name and what part of the fucking world are you from?
My first name is Ankie. You pronounce it in English, and I'm from the Netherlands.
Okay, go ahead.
First question. So your dream team CEO is top-level management who thinks with you on a strategic level but will not be working inside the acquired companies, right?
Well, it depends if you have one company or many companies. The CEO would be the CEO of one company, and if you have a holding company, the individual managing directors would operate the individual companies, and the CEO of the holding company would manage from the holding company.
Okay, thank you very much. And then my second question.
Go ahead.
When interviewing them, the CEOs, they have other board memberships, so they ask me how much time is involved. Are there any estimates I can give them?
No, but if the CEOs has other board commitments, one, you should check for conflicts.
Yeah.
And two, I mean, the CEO, once you make an acquisition, is a full-time job.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the call. Bye-bye. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hello, Dan. Nicola from the Netherlands. I'm doing our first deal in the financial institutions. Next to avoiding the personal guarantee, what more can I negotiate in my favor?
Are you saying that they want a personal guarantee for your first acquisition?
They are asking me for a personal guarantee.
Well, then there's nothing you can negotiate. You should get on your knees and thank God, thank Allah, thank Buddha, that somebody's willing to give you the fucking money. Thank you for calling. Next. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hi, Dan. This is Mahir calling from Toronto, Canada. With regards to interviewing Hi, Dan. This is Mahir calling from Toronto, Canada.
I heard you. I know who you are.
With regards to interviewing accountants and lawyers, how would you bring up success fees in the conversation?
You bring it up just like you pull your zipper down to take a piss. Thank you for calling. Hello?
Hi, Dan. My name is
Dan
Costa.
Pena, how can I help you?
My name is Costa from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
And I have I'm interviewing a potential board member, and he wants 20% of my company.
Okay.
Should I stick with that 5%?
20% to be your chairman or 20% to be a director?
A director.
Next. In other words, just next, say thank you very much for your time, and we'll don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hey, Dan, this is Nick in Los Angeles. My question is currently I'm raising money from accredited investors, small guys, for little private placement deals, guys who do no more than 25 to 50K. My question is that I have the intention that I want to go into start doing roll-ups, things of that nature. Is it worth eventually rolling over a book of 10, 15, 20 of those guys into one of those deals, or is that too many people to answer to, too many moving parts?
Too many moving parts. There's too many moving parts. Yeah.
So all right, would it make a difference if a smaller group of larger guys go to the more family offices, something of that nature?
Well, that's a better option for sure. I mean, it's hard enough to managing the when you're managing these things. So I mean, you need you need to have a group that you can they're not going to be easy to manage, but you need a group that you can easily contact with information, etc. And when you have an unwieldy amount of people, then you know it's you're looking for trouble. Thank you for calling.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yes. There's a number of other points that are important that I wanted to bring up to you guys. As my schedule on my site says, I'm going to be going to Kiev, Ukraine, in the month of October for a couple of days. So for those of you that are around there, and if I have time, I'd be happy to spend time with you. And when I have those meetings are only 20 to 30 minutes, depending on my schedule. So you already know that up front. And please don't come to pitch me a deal. I'm not there to pine on your deals. I'm there to just give you some insight as to your focus, if you're on the right track, vis-a-vis your own persona, is QLA for you, etc. I'm not there to tell you how to make your deal right, because invariably your information that you give me isn't going to be 100% of the information. You're going to give me what you think I want to hear, not what I should hear. Another point that I want to make is that we've been asked, or when I say we, I mean I've been asked several times since we started the radio show about and ongoing on my website, is QLA just about money? And I've joked from time to time over the last 23 years that if you don't think money can buy happiness, you don't know where to shop. Well, that's a little blasé, but there's a lot of truth in it. But the people that you see saving the world, the Elon Musks, the Bill Gates, the Warren Buffetts, and even myself and my lovely wife Sally, we've made money and we're going back and we're using that money to do good now. But they make the money first. So I mean, it's not all about money. But as I've said in the most famously quoted thing I ever said, and that was on the Brian Rose London Real interview, first interview in 2014. You know, when you got a problem and your mother's sick and she needs to be in a hospital, you can't pay for it with Zen. And so I would say that QLA is not just about money; it's about fulfilling your dreams. Another thing that I wanted to comment on after watching the Olympics for several days is that virtually every single Olympic athlete, gold medal athlete, that commented about his success said that they followed a process, etc. And it's not a journey. And the head coach for the rowing, I believe it was, for Great Britain, and Great Britain led, I believe, in gold medals for stuff on the water in boats. He said that we're following a golden, proven, world-class process. And then I add, not some simple-minded, wandering, meandering journey. Being a high-performance person is not a journey. Being a high-performance person is a well-defined process. And that's why I'm so much in favor of the mentor system. Success leaves clues, and following a mentor. Otherwise, as I've said many times, high performance people are like eagles. They don't meet in groups. They're alone. And somebody pointed out to me here recently that high performance people, or using the eagle analogy, are like normal birds fly under the clouds and they have to look for shelter when it rains, when it storms. Eagles fly above the clouds, and which is very analogous to my 60,000-foot metaphor, looking down at things with a Concorde look. And so for you to follow in the footsteps of the people that I've talked about for 23 years and almost 50 years of my personal life, I mean, just remember, I mean, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And all the medal, gold medal, and again, it's wonderful to get a medal at the Olympics, but it's even more wonderful to get a gold medal. All the gold medal guys and gals talked about their world-class training partners, and that's because they trained with their world-class training partners, and those people became their friends. So one other thing I want to comment on, I've gotten several questions about whether I'm going in not for a heart transplant on the 30th of this month. Some people think that I need a heart in the place of where I have an empty cavity, which I suppose is supposed to be a joke. But I'm going in for a knee replacement on the 30th of this month. And so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure I'll be up and walking soon after. And then, because I don't have any other free time other than Christmas, I'm going in for a left knee knee transplant. They're going to do my right knee in a few days. Okay, let's take some calls now. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hi, Dan. My question is about the...
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please. What's your first name and what part of the world are you from?
Sure. My name is Adam. I'm from the United States.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my question is about the latest email that you sent out, and specifically you mentioned mentee right here. It says, I just closed my $6 million deal with an after repositioning value of $9.5 million, and then you go on to explain it.
Yep.
Okay. My question is basically, would you elaborate?
And I had nothing to do with that deal. That's a mentee, but I had nothing to do with it. I'm not the chairman. I'm not on the board. He did it all by his lonesome. Okay, go ahead.
No. Oh, okay. So my question is basically, would you elaborate kind of on what goes in to that process for somebody who hasn't done it before, and specifically what, I gather that he bought a business with seller financing, and then did he go to the bank to refinance it, or how does that work?
Okay, first of all this information's on my website. But I'm in a beneficent mood since I just had my birthday. I'm going to give you a mercy fuck, kid, and I'm going to tell you. I don't like answering questions that are on my fucking website, though, but I'm going to answer you. It's analogous to you buy a house. A moron's got $1 million house. He's desperate to fucking sell it. One of the basis of QLA is a seller that is motivated to sell. So you go to the $1 million house guy and you say, okay, I'll take the house off your hands. And he says, well, are you motivated enough to take all the paper back? Meaning you be the financing institution. If he's really motivated, he'll say yes. And let's just say for this case, he just had a stroke and his wife is spitting up blood from emphysema. Okay? So he's motivated to get out of the house. He just wants out. Okay, so you take the house over, $1 million, and you now owe him $1 million. Okay?
Right.
In the example I gave in the email I sent out, he only charged 3.5%, which is to say it's fantastic is an understatement of biblical proportion. So he's going to charge you 3.5% on the paper, interest only. Meaning you only have to pay interest payments. Now, if those interest payments are monthly, that's still good. If they're quarterly, they're even better. And if those interest payments are yearly, that's terrific. Meaning that you now have time to go to a real bank, a real financial institution, and refinance it. And as it was laid out in the email, the $6 million was really worth closer to $10 million, but the guy was desperate to get out of the piece of shit. So now he hasn't done this yet. He's going to go to a financial institution, a Bank of America, whoever, and they're going to allow him to take out 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe the whole $6 million. Then he goes back to the Rufus Doofus that sold him the fucking property and say, hello, Rufus, here's the $6 million I owe you. And he'll clear the difference between the $6 million and we'll call it $10 million. We won't call it $9.5 million. And that's how it's done. And it's done on businesses. It's but more people are used to doing it for houses. It's the no money down flip that has become famous in the United States the last 30 or 40 years. That's what it is.
Okay, right, but so he goes to your mentee goes to the bank and they give him the $10 million.
They don't give him the $10 million. They refinance the house He's not going to get the whole 10 million. He may get 6 or 7 million.
But he gets more than the seller wants.
Yeah, but even if he doesn't get more, if he only got 4 fucking million, he's got now 4 million more than he had before, and he has no money out of his pocket.
He just needs to use that 4 million to make the interest payments to the seller.
No, he can burn it. He can stick it up his ass. I mean, he can make the interest payments. 3.5% interest on $6 million is nothing. It's no money. He probably can cover that on his credit cards. So
Okay,
then
but
he
if
takes
he
the
needed
four.
to,
Then he
okay,
takes
so
the
the
four.
bank
He takes the 4 or 5 or 6 million, and he buys another property, and he does the same thing.
Oh, because so he just uses it as leverage to get the money from the bank.
No, he's using the property as leverage.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. It's now his asset that he can take a loan against.
Correct. Okay. I hope that helped. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next. Dan Pena, how can I help you?
Hey, Dan, this is Josh from Chicago. How are you?
Fine.
Hey, real quick, in building up the dream team, all I really need is an executive summary and a mission statement. Is that correct, to start getting their interest?
The executive summary has the mission statement in it. So it's one paper.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good luck. Okay. A couple other things. I've been asked, and I've said this many times, and I'm positive it's on my website. The hardcore seminar that's coming up October 15th, I believe, is for QLA alumni. QLA alumni only. You have to have gone to the first seminar to be allowed to go to the second seminar. Another question that's come up is that mentors and methods. How do you attract mentors? Well, based on, and I say this slightly tongue-in-cheek in a sarcastic manner, most of the people that you're hanging around with right now couldn't qualify to be bus drivers, and I'm not demeaning a bus driver's life. It's a good, honest job, but they're not going to be your mentors. And you want mentors that are where you want to be someplace in your life. So therefore, you have to change your social milieu. You have to change where you go. I tell you to join clubs you can't afford, etc., etc. Another question that's come up is that, how do I conquer the fear of public speaking, etc.? You conquer the fear of public speaking by speaking. And so where do you speak? And the best that I know of for the last 40 or 50 years is Toastmasters. Toastmaster has a wonderful program. In fact, now they have more than one program. They've got various programs, not just depending on the level of your public speaking skills, but also dependent on how competitive you want to get. They have competitions, and I have several mentees that are involved in the competition, and I have one mentee from Australia, 22, 23-year-old college university student, who was voted a few weeks ago. He's president of his local chapter, and he's been voted the president of the year for Toastmasters, which is pretty terrific considering he could. Now, this is an exaggeration, considering that he couldn't speak very well when he didn't stutter, but he was pretty close to stuttering. I've also been asked by several of the kids. The QLA system is a process, guys, and it starts with getting the chairman, and you leveraging off the chairman to get your other directors, your non-executive directors. It's like renting a big building. You have a 50-story building, and you want General Motors or IBM to take 40 stories of it. So then you have an anchor tenant. And then you tell everybody that IBM or General Motors is your tenant. And then you can go and lease the rest of the property out. Well, it's very similar to getting an anchor chairman. You get an anchor chairman, and he is the person you leverage off of. When you go to get your other non-executive directors and your industry experts and your in-house lawyer and your in-house accountant, and in some cases, if you're not qualified, your CEO or your COO, you use him. And then you use that board to give you more credibility than you've already got. Go and get your accountants on a success fee basis, and you start with small regional accounting firms, and you practice, and you go up to the big 4 accounting firms, and then you use your dream team, your accountants, get your lawyers, and to be part of your dream team. And at the same time, towards the end of that process, you're interviewing financial institutions, warm them up. Your industry. Let's say that you're in you're trying to acquire dental practices. So you've been talking to banks about the financing of dental practices. So you're going to commercial lenders first, and then you go to insurance companies, private equity firms, hedge funds. Now, the last 3 that I mentioned, insurance companies, private equity, and hedge funds, are your lenders or investors of last resort, because they will take the biggest portion of the equity of the transaction for putting up the money, whereas a commercial bank normally will only want interest on their money. Occasionally, if they really like the deal, and depending on from which section you get the money from in the bank, they will require, they may want warrants, etc. Now, our lines are still open. And this reminds me, one of my mentees, and my lines are still open and waiting for calls. But a couple of my mentees have been calling the national radio stations about the Harlem fiasco, and invariably they always ask, why do you think that the Harlem school turned Mr. Pena down at the last minute? And I know the stock answer of the school has been because of his rough language. Now, considering it took 7 weeks for them to they did due diligence, or they could have done due diligence on me for 7 weeks, because I first accepted the Harlem speaking engagement 7 weeks before I was due to make it. The fact that I use rough language and virtually everything on YouTube has got bad words in it is bullshit. And but I believe somebody woke up that I'm a Trump endorser, and being a Trump endorser has probably cost me in other ways. I'm not sure how, although I know not everybody's in love with the fact that I'm a Trump endorser. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to mention, again, these calls, the lines are open, and so we're waiting for calls. This is a free event, as all of my other events are free. I don't sell my product. All my product is free online, and it has been for several years now. I do that to take away perhaps the last excuse you might have about not fulfilling your dream. And the reason why you might not have used QLA before is that QLA product used to be very expensive. So we went from the most expensive product online to free, the least expensive. And so, which I find rather ironic. We're gonna cut this short, and it's Saturday evening here. I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing it again. Thank you very much. Peace.
Dan Pena.
Because when I fucking tell you I'm gonna do something, I fucking do it. I'm either in a coma or fucking dead.
Finally responds.
I want you to release the fucking beast and not be politically correct.
To everyone's bullshit.
There's no such thing as work-life balance. None!
Watch the latest episodes of Dan, the $50 billion man, responds to bullshit. Visit www.danpena.com/Dan-responds-to-bullshit. Are you ready for the next QLA Castle Seminar? October 1st through the 8th, 2016 Castle Seminar is now open for reservations. What are you waiting for? Take action and sign up for the exclusive seminar that has created over $50 billion in wealth among the mentees. Receive exclusive QLA products free and take advantage of the year-long mentorship program by the $50 billion man himself. For more information, visit www.danpena.com/seminar. Hurry before it's fully booked. You have been listening to the live, uncut, raw, unfiltered Ask the $50 Billion Man. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for free content and updates on the next episode of Live, Uncut, Raw, Unfiltered Ask the $50 Billion Man. To learn more about the best high-performance coach, Dan Pena, visit www.danpena.com and access all the free QLA materials of the $50 Billion Man. To your QLA and biz.